Hello there, Ray here. I'm joined by quite a few fellows. These are the guys that helped us during the stream. We got Dark Wii U, we got Fax, and we have X Alvarez, as well as Quite Good Dude, who's currently not here. And during our last 1.14 testing stream, we went ahead and designed up a brand new wart farm that uses some new 1.14 mechanics. This allows you to use Fortune 3 on the nether wart, as well as allows you to only harvest the nether wart that are fully grown. This type of nether wart farm is going to be a must-have for anyone in versions 1.14 and above. And if you guys would like to join us as we test these things, and even be part of my next video, be sure to come along and join us during these streams. Streams are every Wednesday as well as Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this is where we come on and design new farms, as well as test out new ideas. You can learn more about that down in the description. So let's take a look at this really amazing wart farm. So with 1.14, they came out some changes to do with the way you plant different things, such as seeds and flowers and other stuff like that. And that also includes netherwort. So before, when you had to plant netherwort, you had to look directly at the top of the block where you wanted it to be planted. Now you can actually look at any block that's adjacent to it. Similar to placing blocks, I can click here and it's going to place it down here. Now this is very useful because as it grows up, it's going to be different heights. And we can actually have it so that the player will only destroy the netherwort once it has grown to its full height. Plus, we're still able to plant it while looking at the same height that we're going to harvest it. So the idea is to have the player, when the wort grows, have them facing a height where you'll only knock out the largest ones, because the larger they are, the more they will produce. If you knock them out at this stage, they're only going to produce like one wort. So by harvesting the wort at this stage, without fortune, you'll get 2 to 3 warts. And if you do use fortune on it, then you can get up to 7 warts from it. So with these new changes, we decided to try to make a farm where the player would be able to plant the wort as well as harvest the wort with a single player. We actually ran into quite a few difficulties when we're testing this during our snapshot streams. So the hardest problem is actually trying to get the player to, when he starts to try to break something, to stop him from breaking something. Have you guys seen my previous farms, such as like my seaweed farm? When the player starts whacking with a tool, it's very difficult for him to start doing the offhand item that he has in his offhand. Even though I have both my right as well as my left button held down, you can see my player is just really wanting to break this stone. Notice as I turn my player away and he's facing the air over here, then when I reintroduce him to this area, he's able to choose a different button. So sometimes you notice that he's able to come in here and plant before breaking, and sometimes when I come in here, he'll only want to break. So it's a very precise timing. And in like my seagrass farm, it just happened to be my player moving back and forth, timed just enough so that he was able to do both breaking as well as planting. So the reason why we have an axe in our hand is because we're actually going to use fortune, which does work towards netherwort. And you can put fortune on a couple different tools. You can put them on an axe as well as a pickaxe. This will allow you to get more netherwort when you harvest it using that tool. Now you can't stick the tool in your offhand and break with your main hand, otherwise the tool's effect doesn't work. You actually have to use the tool, and there's no way to use the tool in your offhand. So we designed a netherwort farm where the player has to kind of come up to it, be able to plant, also be able to kind of sit at some air so he's able to switch, and then come back and able to break it. And that's what we actually designed over here with a lot of testing. As you see, we got quite a few different designs during our stream trying to figure this out. Some of them we were trying to space it between the netherwort and like blocks between to give the player enough air so he could switch again. And what actually worked consistently was actually having a person on a minecart and have him move up close to some soul sand where he's able to plant the netherwort, as well as move him away so he gets enough air to kind of reset his player. And this design here is our final design. It works 100% consistent, where the player is able to come in, he's able to look up high enough so that he only breaks the tall netherwort, then he's able to replant any new ones that are needed. And then he'll be moved on to the next row, and just keep doing this until he goes through the whole entire farm. This way you get not only the efficiency of the fortune, but you also are able just to harvest the ones that are at the full growth. You get the maximum out of them. And as you see, it's also tileable, which is really cool. You can see Dark Wii is actually over here showing out how it works. So if I go ahead and put in a little guy right here, you notice how this little guy actually never gets destroyed, where all the big ones do. We also added in a mechanism to put a hopper minecart underneath to go in and pick up all the items. Another cool part about this is that the player is also moving close enough to the warts so that he can resupply his stack. So the way they want to operate this is by filling your whole inventory up except for your offhand, and that way the items are only getting picked up by your offhand. And then you can have some hopper minecarts go underneath and pick up any items that you missed. Now you have to be kind of precise on how you aim, otherwise you won't get this system to work. But as you can see, Dark Wii here has a very good system going on as he went ahead and filled all these in with new ones. And the way you can design this is you can have the player wait like he has here. You have a clock that allows the player to wait until you have a decent amount of them grown up. Or what you can do is just build your farm big enough so that the player is constantly going in a loop. And what he'll do is he'll just harvest the ones that are large enough. So even though some of these are kind of small, if this one happens to become large, then he will be immediately harvested. Okay, so I went ahead and I'm starting in the farm. And you can see my coordinates are very kind of precise. So you try to get your person facing very much as straight as possible. So around that 90 degrees. This is negative 90 because of the direction I'm facing. I also want to be facing upwards at negative 18 in the top left-hand corner. You can see I'm really close to negative 18. And this allows you to get 100% chance of planting it again. Notice how my guy comes in and he whacks at the wart with his axe. And then as he's moving away, he's actually planting. Now the trapdoors are very useful because they have air behind it. And the air is kind of needed to reset it. So when I come in, you see that I'll actually reset. Oh, I'm actually getting a little bit off. Notice how if I just move my mouse just a little bit, just like right now, I'm a little bit off. Actually, I'm not getting 100% anymore because I moved my mouse. So it's really important to try to keep that negative 18 degrees. That way you have a 100% chance of breaking the wart as well as planting a new one. Like I was saying about the air behind the trapdoor, so notice how when I come in, first thing my guy does is whack at him. And then my guy is given air in the background. My little cursor is pointing directly at the air. And then when my guy moves away, I'm given access back to the trapdoor again, so my guy is able to plant a new wart on top of it. You can see this is extremely fast too. Like it doesn't take a guy very long to go through all these warts. Now the rates of farm really depends on how large you make the farm, but you are limited to the area where the wart is able to grow. So just like most crops, wart's only going to grow around the random tick area around the player. The random tick area is a 8 chunk radius around the player. So if you made this whole farm like 8 by 8, then the majority of the time you would be in an area where it would be random tick, even if you're constantly riding the rail. Now you can also add tons of layers to this as well, so that way you can go through tons of layers, because random tick is a circle around the player, but it's also like a cylinder. So you can go ahead and make this many layers and move the player between them. Now you can also do this AFK by just having these buttons held down on your keyboard. Or you can use other tricks, like you can use the F3 plus T trick, which essentially will freeze your screen, and then you can lift up your buttons, and then the buttons will automatically be held down. And then that way you can just AFK and leave your account collecting tons of wart. So notice how we also had some wart that fell down here. If you want to, you can also run hopper minecarts underneath that, or you can run one hopper minecart that kind of runs the length of the player. So maybe one that kind of goes with the player, so wherever the player goes, it kind of follows him back and forth. And that might be something to do if you're going for kind of a larger scale. We have some command blocks here just so we can increase the growth so that we can test it. And we tried a lot of different types of setup, but this setup here, you see with the rails, can be done in survival. It is directional, so you have to kind of pay attention what direction you put this. The direction we're going is from west to east, is which way the rails are facing. And the way that this works is that the minecart will kind of go around this and then fall down onto a new one. As you can see, this is elevated, fall into this row. And then it'll always come against these soul sand blocks and it'll bump off of them. And then what it'll do is it'll come between these curve rails, and the curve rails allow it to jump into the next section. This way you can make it tileable as well as very small. Now we tried a lot of different types of sizes as well as a lot of different types of combinations. As you can see, we did a lot of testing around in the area. And it seemed best at this stage here. Now, in theory, we thought we could actually bring this one closer, but because the player kind of comes off of two different sides, so sometimes he's coming off the edge here, and sometimes he's going up a rail. His height of the player is actually kind of changing, so we couldn't make it as consistent with that. So the way that I would probably do it, I would just make these slices about 8 chunks wide that direction, and just like this, and maybe 8 chunks that way as well. And that way you're just working in a big, huge cube. And then the majority of the time you would have it so that the wart can be growing as you're running it. It doesn't matter what type of material the axe is made out of, or the pickaxe. Anytime you use a tool that works on a block that's instant, it's all going to be the same speed. So in other words, it's an instant break block, so it don't matter what you use, it's going to break it. That also means it's not going to take any durability. So you see this axe didn't take any durability. It's always been at 249. That's because anytime you use a tool on something that's instant, it will never take durability. So you don't have to worry about having mending on this tool or picking up XPs or anything like this. And when your player is breaking stuff that's instant, he also won't take any hunger. So you don't need to have any kind of regeneration beacons or any kind of food to prevent the player from starving on like a hard mode server. We're going to show you guys how you got to do this rail setup here in survival. So you want to start by placing down your power rails. There's a section of 2 of them, and then 3 of them, then 2 of them, and then 3 of them, and 2 of them. And then Dark Wee is going to show you guys how to put in the curved parts on top. Notice how he's doing the top here first, and then he went to the bottom, got that curve, and then he finished by curving this top one by putting another one up here. So this is kind of a scaffolding block. Notice how he's doing the 2 normal rails here, and then he ends by putting another one over there, which is trying to curve for that one. And then he's going to put 1 rail up here to make that one curved. And then for this one to curve, he has to be a rail over there. So he's going to put down another rail, it's going to try to curve to this one, and then he's going to make this one curve by doing that. So the order you do that is important, and then when you're done with that, you can go ahead and remove the scaffolding blocks. And then what you'll be left with is this type of setup here, which is a tileable setup for the minecart to go back and forth. And then you can also do this in both directions. So notice how this one, all these curve to the right. And then if we go to this row, they're all curving to the left. So this way the player can go all the way to the end, and then he can take the system back the other direction. That way he doesn't have to go all the way to this side and keep running one direction. If you guys like to check out this really cool netherwork farm, I'll put the world download down in the description. And if you guys did find this video interesting, be sure to go ahead and give it a like, as well as share with someone else so that they can build up this really cool wart farm for 1.14 and above. And if you guys haven't went ahead and subscribed already, be sure to go ahead and do that now. And we'd like to thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.